back to my channel. So today I have a really exciting video to share with you guys. If you've seen my videos in the past, you'll know that I am obsessed with crystals. Obsessed. So what I wanted to do today was make our very own crystal grid in a super unique way. So there are tons and tons of videos on YouTube about crystal grids and how they work and many different types, but I haven't seen one to me. If you know anyone that uses my technique, definitely leave me their name below so I can connect with them. But so far I haven't really seen any videos on incorporating all of the senses, right? So to me, I feel when you're working with a grid and numerous crystals, the grid should encompass your smell, touch, sight, feeling. So these things are really important to me when it comes to crystal grids. So I wanted to share that with you. And in a nutshell, and I'm not gonna go too deep into what a crystal grid is because, like I said, there are many YouTubers that have really long, extensive videos on exactly what a crystal grid is. So, but in a nutshell, a crystal grid is an alignment of crystals using a geometric shape, right? So when you align these crystals in a certain shape and you put your intentions in the crystal, the shape is meant to represent something that you want, right? Or something that you want, something manifested. And how you get that manifestation or your intention to fruition is using specific crystals to help aid in this process. So I strongly believe that each crystal has different energies, they have different attributes, and by using them collectively, you get a really strong sense of energy. And using the crystal grid and putting it away and pretty much using it either daily or just keeping it there and putting your intentions in, it is useful and it does work. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be demonstrating and showing you along the process of making a really simple crystal grid with tools that you maybe have in your house, but I mean, you can easily get them. And this is for the beginner. And this is a grid that is not only fun to make, really creative, but it works. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to first start off with the things that you're going to need for this specific type of crystal grid. So first and foremost, you are going to need a geometric pattern like this one. Okay, this is a very simple one. You can also make this on your own. I've seen YouTube videos with people describing how to do certain rings, but hey, if you have a computer and you have a printer, I suggest just printing it. Print it at home, and you can even just use this as a crystal grid. In fact, it is a crystal grid, but it doesn't have to be anything fancy. So I have a bunch of grids, but this is actually the method I prefer to use. So I have a couple examples here. So one grid can be just a printout, like so. One other grid can be on a slab of stone. This one happens to have a bunch of crystals in it, and it's super powerful, but look how small it is. A crystal grid can be as small as these two. It can be as large as this whole table. It doesn't have to be, you know, a specific size. It's just what makes you feel good and what works for you. So a crystal grid can be a slab of stone. I've seen a flat slab of selenite, and I think that's just an awesome idea. So it can be something like this, or it can just be a simple etched piece of acrylic. This has seen its day. I use it a lot. Only thing with acrylics and wood and things like that, they do get scratched. Stone, it doesn't, and paper is replaceable. So these are just examples of, you know, crystal grids. So what we're going to be working with today is something, like I said, that I really have not seen on YouTube. And that is creating a grid that has a transparency. So let me show you what we are going to create today. This is mine. And if you notice, it's the same grid traced on top of a piece of paper. So we'll get into this, what the colors represent and creating our grid. But I have never seen anything like this before, and I'm telling you, you guys, it's very effective. And if someone is a visual person like I am, and you know, when they are setting intentions or manifesting something or studying something, I'm a very, very visual learner. So something like this really resonates with me. It may not resonate with everyone, but this right here is just the bee's knees. Okay, so creating something like this, let's just go through our supply list. You are going to need a transparency. You can get this piece of like either acetate at a craft store, Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Any of them have this type of transparent paper. You know, this one's pretty floppy. I've used floppy ones, they're fine, but if you can get a little bit a thicker piece, even a thin slice of acrylic, that would be really, really nice, okay? So this is what you're gonna need, your piece of acetate. You're going to need your geometric shape. It can be this simple one, or it can be something as complex as a seed of life geometric pattern, but you know, you don't have to use these patterns, but right now we're making a grid, so you know, it's very recommended that you use a pattern. But look online if you're going to print one out like what we're doing today. Look online there. If you search crystal grids, there's like hundreds of patterns, and to me, symmetry of the crystals and their alignments are very important, especially these points, which we'll get to later, is very important. So definitely when looking at a pattern, see what resonates with you. What are you guided to? Make sure there's some with points, because that is effective in your grid. You're going to need a permanent marker. You are going to need your crystals and your herbs. Yes, we are working with herbs today. That is part of the senses that I was talking about in my intro. So this is being cleansed in the cleansing pouch that we received in the June Witch's Moon box, and I love this and I'm constantly using it. So all of my gridding herbs and crystals have been charged in this cleansing pouch. And you're going to need your activator. So this is really important. This activator I like to wrap in copper wire as it conducts energy. This one is not double terminated, and it's not a Vogel. I had a Vogel here somewhere, but I mean, I misplace crystals all the time, but I don't think they're misplacing. I think they just go missing because sometimes that's just the nature of the crystal, and then when you're least expecting it, they just pop up. So my Vogel is somewhere, don't know, but if you have a quartz with a point, that's fine too. And I don't see many people wrapping their activators in copper, but I really do think it's important to do that, so that way the energy from you to the crystal and from the generator to all of the supporting crystals are getting activated with the point and the copper. All right. This beautiful quartz crystal we just received in our July Witch's Moon box. And last but not least, actually second to last, the last one is optional. You want an oil. I am completely captivated by this oil that we received in the Witch's Moon box July, and this is a third eye oil. So if you watched my July unboxing, I did refer to today and making the crystal grid and how absolutely perfect this oil is for the use of activating a grid. And I will show you that later, but any oil that is good for your third eye chakra, you are definitely going to need for your crystal grids. Okay, now, lastly, and this is optional, because we are getting a pattern from the internet, we want to be able to trace it onto our acetate. You can use a tracing pad like I have here, or you can do it old school and tape the acetate to the paper and use a window with light. I mean, the possibilities to trace is pretty much endless, but I happen to have this. I love light boards for tracing, so we're gonna do that today. Okay, enough rambling. Let's get to the fun part. So let's turn on your light board. It can be the medium power. And you're going to put your pattern on the light board. Then you are going to put your acetate right on top of that. And you guys, it's as easy as this. So you take your marker and then you just trace along the rings. Like so. And this can be a very therapeutic thing for you. You know, even as I'm doing this now, it's kind of, my mind starts to wander and you start to kind of daydream a little bit, and that's kind of what the point of making your own grids are. When you're doing this, you definitely want to keep in mind of the things that you are wanting to manifest. Keep in mind your intentions and just pour all of those thoughts and energies into making your grid. Okay? As easy as that. So we have used our paper. We no longer need this. We no longer need the pad. So now we have our crystal grid. Okay, so this is a small one. I just wanted to show you with the pad and how you can trace it. But today, the crystal grid that we are going to be working with is, or building, is one for psychic awareness and abilities. Okay, so the reason why I would like my crystal grids to be transparent is because I really do find it very important to work with the elements. When you're aligning your crystals, I really wholeheartedly believe that they should be aligned with the direction and the elemental power and energies. So here I painted the elemental colors, and I'm going to use it together with the grid that we just traced to make a really visually stimulating grid, right? So if north just happens to be straight, I mean, I definitely get a compass or use your phone. There's compass apps, and make sure you see the direction of where you're sitting and align your crystal grid this way. And you guys, when you set it down, how beautiful is this? I mean, when you see something like this, yes, this could be powerful to some, but to me, I really do feel once I see this, I'm already stimulated. I'm already in tune with all of the elements. I personally really work a lot with the elements, and in my craft is very, very important to me and special. So using the colors, it just comes alive. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to take all of our crystals and our herbs out so we can start creating our grid, which is for psychic awareness and abilities. I'm creating a grid for psychic awareness and abilities because I like to keep it on my altar. And on my altar, I like to also keep my tarot card spreads and my tarot cloths. So keeping something that helps you with your psychic ability and getting attuned with those energies, it better helps me with divination. It better helps me with tarot readings. It better helps me with spell work and things like that. So I'm going to be, in fact, redoing this, making sure everything is cleansed and things like that. And I'm going to be making a crystal grid for spell work that I am doing tomorrow, which is the new moon in Cancer. So there's reasons to why you would use crystal grids, and that is a really good example. So if you know that you're gearing for spell work, or you know that you're having maybe a client for a reading, or you're doing any type of divination for yourself, it's always good to have a crystal grid nearby that stimulates psychic awareness. Okay, so here we have our crystals and herbs that we are looking to do today. All right, so before we get into actually placing our crystals in grid format, I wanted to go over what we have and explain why we are using them for today's psychic ability and awareness grid. Okay. So the first stone that we're going to use is for the North Point, and we are going to be using the Kyanite crystal. And Kyanite is an earth elemental stone. So Kyanite is a good stone for activating your innate ability to communicate telepathically. The blues here are the color to help align your spiritual being with your higher self of consciousness. So by using this stone, it enhances your ability to receive and transmit information, basically on all levels. So it's a really good earth grounding stone. For the East Point, we're going to be using this really cute little amethyst stone. Amethyst is perfect because it resonates in air elemental energy. Amethyst pretty much stimulates the third eye and uses all of the clairs, right? Like clairvoyance and things like that. And amethyst is really good for having your intentions come to fruition. So this is really powerful stone, and I'm sure if you are a crystal girl, you know that amethyst is really good for psychic work. So this is a really good stone to have in this specific grid. So for the South Point, we're using one of my favorite stones, and that is the lapis lazuli. I love lapis lazuli. Look at this piece, it's beautiful. So lapis lazuli also opens up the third eye and all of the intuitive senses. And remember, in my intro, it's really important to kind of open up those senses. Another thing that is awesome about lapis lazuli is that it's a really good grounding stone. And if you have clear insight of what you want, it improves your eyesight, going again with your third eye. So this is really a power stone as well when you're wanting to work with any of your psychic awareness, because this is powerful. That if you have an intent, and when you're working with crystal grids and crystals, your intent should be powerful. And I mean, it is powerful. And you want to be very serious and give all that you have within yourself to your crystals and your grid in regards to your intention. I mean, if you want something, you have to want it badly and with all that you have to make this work. And many other people will tell you that. But with that being said, when you use lapis lazuli, if you have that really concise intent, you'll definitely, this will help it go to fruition because it just zeroes it in. So really powerful stone. Okay, the last one is for your west direction, and we are going to be using a Jasper, which is the Mukite type of Jasper. All right, so Jasper works off of the water elemental energies and has a two-part benefit. So you can't really see it here, but there are some purple parts of this stone that realigns your physical chakras and kind of connects your spiritual being with your higher self being. And then the red is for increasing the possibilities of rejuvenating your meditation. So what I mean by that, it helps have your mind and your thoughts clear. So this helps you meditate. And when you do a crystal grid, there is a lot of meditating that has to be done. It's, you just don't place it and it works. You have to, like I said, work with your intuition, want it badly, and meditate on it and believe in it. All right, so your supporting stones, these are all supporting stones. So this is selenite. And selenite just has an amazing vibration, and it's just full of light. You can see it here. So I love using selenite, and it's pretty much a key in all of my crystal grids. I have a clear quartz here for more supporting stones. I have some pink Himalayan salt, which is good for purity. And I have one of my favorite gemstones in my collection, and that is an celestial smoky quartz. Smoky quartz, in fact, is my all-time favorite crystal, and it helps with grounding, and it takes in negative energy and it emits positive energy. So to me, and you can have many generators, but a smoky quartz, especially one with celestial rainbow auras inside, is the perfect generator. Now we are going to go into our herbs, and herbs are very important to me in general in my practice, but I really do think that all crystal grids should incorporate your herbs. So that is part of this, of the senses being stimulated, as I discussed in my intro. So here we have the sight of the colors. And then with the herbs, if you can smell them, I have a bunch of mugwort and sandalwood and these anise herbs. And if you work with them, they have amazing smells. So now you're stimulating your smell senses into your grid. Touch. So working with touches, I really do love the idea of having polished stones, rough stones, ones that are fragile, ones that have many facets to it. This is all part of the touching, and it all is part of the energy that you're going to be putting into your grid. So the anise is good for vibrations on all possible levels. It's good for, again, just like the lapis lazuli is good for zeroing in your focus when you're doing meditations, and it's good for clairvoyance. So here I have a packet of mugwort. So mugwort is good for clairvoyance, manifesting dreams, consecrating items, and other things like that. I have some sandalwood. Sandalwood is great for being in tune with your higher power. It has high vibrational energies and is good for cleansing, healing, and protecting. And that's definitely what we want in our grid. And I have some marigold. So marigold is not, to me, how I really picture marigold is pretty much to give gratitude, right? So since we're working with the grids and we're using up all of these energies, and I'm wanting something out of it, and I want to gather, psychic awareness so it can help me with my spell work, it can help me with my tarot readings. I'm asking a lot from, my god and goddesses, or the powers that give me those energies. So I like to put marigold around just to kind of give thanks and gratitude on what we're doing, right? So with any magic, once you put a little bit of gratitude in there, it just makes it that much more special and powerful, because all magic really begins with just a little bit of gratitude. And that's it. And your activator stone. So let's begin creating our grid. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to place our generator in the middle of the grid. It's important that it is pointed so it can emit the energies that it's using around the other supporting crystals. It could be round. I've seen people use round spheres to kind of have an open energy channel and not just directed, but these have little points to their facets. So I think a stone like this is just perfect. And this is my Celestial Smoky Quartz. Okay, so we are going to then put our selenite in our directional points. Okay. Next, we are going to place our crystals that we just reviewed in their corresponding directions. So the first one that we're going to use is the Kyanite, which is the earth elemental energy, is going to the north point. We have Amethyst for the air energy going to the east point. We have the Lapis Lazuli with fire energy going to the south point. And then lastly, we have our Mukite Jasper that has water energy going to our west point. Okay. Now we're going to take our clear quartz and align them on the cross directional points. So if you see here, I'm hitting all of these points. Okay? And these are hitting this point here. So you're starting to create the balance and the symmetry. So next I'm going to take my pink Himalayan salt and I'm going to place them on the cross quarters. when you're doing this, you're definitely, again, you're meditating, you're setting your intentions, and it's becoming pretty much like a therapeutic type of system. We're going to be placing our anise herbs on our 4 directions. Next, we're going to take our marigold for gratitude, and we're going to cap the cross quarters, just like that. All right, so now that we have done our grid, the last thing to do is to add the sandalwood. And you're basically just going to go around. This point. The outer ring is very optional. If you don't have the space for it, that's totally fine. This is something with a bigger grid. This is the use of that. That will come in handy for this. Or you can use it like how I'm doing and put the ring straight on your altar. Okay. And then lastly, you're just gonna hit the last points that you see with a little bit of mugwort. And that's between the actual directions and the cross quarters. And that is it. Now you have created a very powerful crystal grid using grids and herbs that are specifically designed for psychic awareness and abilities. You want to activate your grid. I'm using the third eye oil that we received in the Witch's Moon box for July, and I'm just drawing a pentacle on my forehead to initiate and open up my third eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my activator stone and I'm going to touch my generator stone, bring it back to my forehead, touch the generator stone, bring it back to my forehead, and do this until you feel that your third eye is opened and you're ready to activate the rest of your grid. Always start with the east. I have written my affirmations on my grimoire, so I'm going to be referring to that right now. So it's always good to not only just touch each stone and herb and bring it back to the generator to activate it, but you should have an intention for each direction. Okay, so I'm going to take my generator and touch each crystal and herb and bring it back to the generator. You'll see. So the affirmation is, I create my reality. I can change my reality. I use my intuition and follow my senses. I am aligned with my higher wisdom. I pay attention to my dreams and wisely interpret them. Okay? That's for the east. Now I'm going to activate the south using my affirmation notes. I am focused. I sense, feel, and know the truth. I follow my intuitions. It's easy for me to meditate. I receive messages all the time and follow my internal guidance system. Okay, activating the West. I am strong. My inner core is powerful. I am physically fit, mentally focused, and emotionally balanced. Vital life force flows vigorously through me, providing me with the endurance to remain strong in all the areas of my life. And lastly, we're going to activate the North point. I am balanced. My body is relaxed and calm. I receive divine guidance simply and clearly. I am with all that is. I am aligned with the divine. And then you're going to go through and touch the mugwort for our last crosses. Then make a circle starting from the east, wrapping around. Come back to the east, back to the generator, back to your third eye. Meditate a little bit, and you are done. So I know this was a very super long video, and I really apologize if it wasn't intended to be that long, but like I said, crystals are very important to me, and you know, if you put in the work and you put in the energy, it will work for you, and you'll love using them. And then after a time, you'll think, how did I ever even live life without having crystal grids in them? So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video. Mwah.